We think knowledge is always auspicious, so we should boldly tell the truth everywhere. But that is not the case. Sri Krishna is saying, look Arjun, don't share this knowledge with people who don't have faith. Why? Why should I not tell you? So Sri Krishna is saying, look Arjun, I am going to tell you something very special, which I don't tell to everybody. It's a private matter. I am telling you because you are eligible for it. Knowledge requires eligibility. Not every truth can be revealed in every audience. We think knowledge is always auspicious, so we should boldly tell the truth everywhere. But that is not the case. Knowledge also requires a qualification. Once a Guruji, he gave a lecture to his disciple. And he also talked about the Gita Mahatmya Sarva Upanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandana. It says that the Upanishads are like the cow, Sarva Upanishado Gavo, and Dogdha, the Gopal, who is milking the Upanishads, is Sri Krishna, who is giving the Gita Gyan. So, at the end of the lecture, Guruji said to the disciple, any questions? The disciple said, Guruji, everything else I understood, but I have one question. You said do gadha. So who were these two gadhas? Guruji said, Beta, one gadha is you. And one gadha is me who's trying to explain to you. The Ramayana says, Je Shraddha Sambal Rahit Nahi Santan Ko Saath Tinkah Manas Agam Ati Jinhin Priya Raghunath. Tulsidas Ji Maharaj says that don't say this Ramayana to people who don't have faith. Why? Why should I not tell you? They will listen to the whole Ramayana and at the end of it, why did Ram hide and kill Bali? Why did he do such a terrible act? So they will not benefit from it. One lady told me, Swamiji, I am reading the Ramayana, but tell me, how come these monkeys could speak? Look, if you are going to have these kinds of doubts, it's better you don't go towards the Ramayana. If you wish to benefit from the Ramayana, you need this entity called faith or Shraddha. That is why in the beginning of the Ramayana itself, Tulsidas Ji Maharaj, he brings out this question of Sati and Parvati, where Sati looks at the Leelas of Ram, uses her intellect, becomes confused, and that results to her ruin. And at the end, when she becomes Himalaya Putri and again marries Shivji, now she comes as Parvati, the daughter of Parvat. Shivji tells Parvati, Ram Kripa te Parvati, Sapnehu tava man mahi, Shoka moha sandeha brahma, Mama vichara kachunahi. Look Parvati, you never had any confusion. You did this whole Leela to convey a message to humankind. What was the message? That in the divine pastimes of Bhagavan, don't use your intellect. If you do, it will just confuse you. Your intellect has a limited ability. Even though we are so proud of it, This machine between our two ears is just about max of 6 inches in width. But the pride is so much we will even challenge God. Karl Marx had challenged God. He said, I've got no problem believing in God as long as I can put him in a laboratory and dissect him. Now Bhagavan is Vibhu. If you have a laboratory to keep God, He is bigger than the biggest mountains. The first question is, how big will Karl Marx be in front of that mountain? Not even a mosquito. And the second is, how will he dissect God? But the intellect says, I can challenge the Supreme. That is why, in the end, the Lord said, Idante na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrusha vacham na cha mamyobhya suyati. Arjun, don't share this knowledge with people who have envy for God, because it will only increase their envy. They will listen to the whole Gita and then they'll say, how much time does it take to chant the Gita? 4 hours. Then how come Sri Krishna and Arjun sat there in the battleground? Was everybody else giving them permission to speak for 4 hours? These kind of questions they will start asking. So, this intellect of ours needs to be surrendered. Use it in the world to understand the world. In the divine realm, you want to grow your love. And that is why you attach the mind into the Leelas of God. Hence, in the Mahabharata as well, the story goes like this. People ask, why is the Mahabharata a dialogue between Janmejaya and Vaishampayan? So the answer is like this, that Arjun's grandson, who was Arjun's son? Abhimanyu. Who was Abhimanyu's son? Parikshit, right? So Parikshit was bitten by a snake, right? That's how the Bhagavatam goes. At that time, his son Janmejaya was only 7 years old. But he was the crown prince designate. And when Janmejaya grew up, he now took over the reins of the kingdom. The question in his mind remained, what were the pastimes of my ancestors? Parikshit, Abhimanyu, Arjun, Yudhishthir, my great-grand-uncles. And at that time, Sri Krishna was present on the planet Earth. Why did he not prevent the Mahabharata? So, Janmejaya, he went to Vedvyas, who is a Chiranjeevi, and said, Vedvyas ji, I have a question. Vedvyas said, please go ahead. When Sri Krishna was present at the time of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, why did he not prevent the war from happening? So Vedvyas said, look, there are certain things that are determined by God. They are called honi. You cannot avoid them. They are decided from above. Janmaya said, I don't believe in this kind of fatalistic doctrine. Anybody can change anything by their effort, purusharth. Vedvyas said, look, I am telling you a honi in your life. You cut it and show me. Janmaya was all ears. His future is going to be told. Vedvyas said, 5 years from today, don't go horse riding. Otherwise you will meet calamity. And even if you do, don't ride on a white horse. But you will definitely ride on a white horse. And if you do, don't go northwards, go in any other direction. But that is the direction you will take. And even if you do, when you meet a woman, don't fall in love. But you will definitely do that. And even if you develop love, don't bring the woman back and get married to her. But that is exactly what you will do. And even if she becomes your queen, don't on her instructions kill Brahmins. Otherwise, the Brahma Hatya sin will impact you and you will get leprosy all over your body and you will die. I am telling you, Ohoni, you cut it and show me. Now Janmejaya became pensive. Oh my God, what is this? Sudden turn of events, such a portentous thing. He returned and said, I'll stop horse riding from today. न रहेगा बांस न बजेगी बांसुरी. 5 years was about to be completed and the yearning developed. I just cannot resist the horse riding. He had told me, don't ride on a white horse. Chal, let me ride on a brown one. He instructed his army's chief, arrange for a brown horse. When he descended, he discovered a white horse had been readied. His heart went dhak. He said, I had asked for a brown one. Your Majesty, the brown horse was not well. That is why we arranged him. He said, all right, I have to just not go to the north. Let me start riding it southward. He was going southward in those days just to practice their weaponry. They used to do hunting, and the deer that he was following, it veered around and started running towards the north. He was now setting himself up. In the process, he forgot. He became thirsty. He lost his way. There was a lake. So he stopped by the lake to have a drink. And after he had a fill, he found a beautiful woman by the side. He said, can I have your WhatsApp contact, please? She said, I'll give it to you on the condition that you will take me to your palace and marry me. Now he was already attached. He put her behind on the horse and started taking her. His intellect had already forgotten the inevitable prediction. When he reached the palace, now that lady started insisting, let the marriage happen right away. By chance, the Brahmin priests had gone somewhere. And she was adamant. She was now the queen. So the sons of the Brahmins were arranged. And they completed all the rites of marriage. At the end, as per the ceremony, she was to give the dakshina. And while giving the dakshina, her top cloth started flying. And these little boys, they took it as an opportunity for jest and started laughing. But that hurt the pride of the new queen. And she instructed Janmejaya, they have insulted me like this, get them killed. He was now Joru ka gulam. So he followed the instruction, got them killed. And in a little while, the sin resulted in his body being covered by leprosy. He remembered what Vedavyas had told him. And he went to Vedavyas and said, Maharaj, your honi turned out right. And Vedavyas said, I had told you. Now here is a remedy. Go to Vaishampayan and listen to the whole Mahabharata. But don't use your intellect anywhere. As you listen to every chapter, one limb of your body will be free from leprosy. If you use that buddhi, then that particular limb will remain affected. I've given you the remedy, but I know that you will make the mistake. No, Maharaj, I promise I will not. Now he went to Vaishampayan, and that is how Vaishampayan starts relating the Mahabharata to Janmejaya. And everything is going well. His body is getting cured with every chapter that he hears. Until Vaishampayan said Bhimsen had so much of Shakti, he would catch an elephant by the trunk, twirl it around and throw it up at satellite velocity. So it would start orbiting the planet Earth. Janmejaya said, Maharaj, don't give me such kind of hocus pocus. I am a science graduate from Rice University. This is impossible. So Vaishampayan said, you don't believe me? He lifted his hand. One elephant that was still in orbit came and fell down Dhar. The point was proved, but Janmejaya's knees remained affected, because of which he passed away. So the story is out there to convey us the message. If you want to benefit from the Mahabharata, if you want to benefit from the Ramayana, then don't make it a subject for intellectual analysis. Learn and drink from the fountain source of wisdom. If you have faith, there's so much to benefit from it.
In a world consumed by chaos, violence, and uncertainty, we're all fighting the Mahabharata within fear, doubt, and inner conflict. The Bhagavad Gita is not just scripture, it's your guide through the battlefield of life. And now, that divine guidance is just a tap away. Introducing the Bhagavad Gita Krishna Bhakti app, the world's first AI-powered Bhakti app and your 24/7 spiritual companion. Whether you're a curious seeker, a devoted practitioner, a busy student or professional, or someone longing for spiritual connection from afar, this app brings bhakti into your life. Hear the Bhagavad Gita narration in multiple languages, including Spanish. Immerse yourself in the divine dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, brought to life with soul-stirring voice and crystal-clear audio. Whether you choose Hindi, English, Tamil, Telugu, or more, let the eternal truths of the Gita reach your heart in the language you love, anytime, anywhere. During a morning walk, a quiet commute, or before sleep. Ask your questions to the AI. Ask Swamiji chatbot, trained on Swami Mukundananda's teachings, and receive answers grounded in authentic Vedic wisdom. Immerse in guided meditations that calm the mind and awaken the soul. Spiritual challenges that strengthen your practice one day at a time. Bhajans that melt the heart in divine remembrance.
Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol.
Articles that clarify the path with timeless wisdom. And heartfelt video lectures that bring Swamiji's presence into your daily life. Experience Temple Aarti, as if you were standing before the altar. The glow of diyas, the sound of conches, and the divine vibration enveloping your soul. Celebrate sacred Hindu festivals with vibrant live broadcasts featuring Vedic rituals and seva opportunities. Join retreats with Swami Mukundanand via live portal. Watch photo and video stories of satsang and retreats with Swami Mukundanand and enjoy exclusive first look glimpses of his USA tour, city to city, only on the app, even before they appear on social media. All this streamed to your phone so you can feel the presence of God with you, anywhere, anytime. This is more than an app. It's a lifeline for your soul. Download the Bhagavad Gita Krishna Bhakti app today. Stay connected. Stay inspired. Let bhakti blossom in your heart every day, every moment.